Hello, amazing half-size humans. It is me, Mr. Bertoch, your incredibly handsome science teacher, and in this video, we are going to be talking about physical and chemical changes. We have talked in other videos a lot about matter. We've talked about atoms and elements and molecules and compounds and mixtures. And in this video, we're going to talk about how matter changes because nothing is ever staying the same. It might stay the same for a long time, but eventually everything undergoes changes. And there are two main types of changes that scientists talk about. One of those are changes that are physical, and this will shock you. You totally won't see this coming, but we call those kinds of changes, the kinds of changes that have to do with physical properties, we call them physical changes. I know, crazy. And the other kind of changes are changes that have to do with chemical properties. And again, this will shock you, but we call those chemical changes. So physical changes and chemical changes are the two ways that matter can change. Well, if physical changes have to do with physical properties and chemical changes have to do with chemical properties, then we probably ought to talk for a minute about what physical properties and chemical properties actually are. So let's start with those wonderful changes, or properties rather, that are physical. Okay, all objects and substances have physical properties. These are properties you can see and smell, I guess, and touch and taste, and they're things, color and texture and shape. Okay, so for example, if I have an object, let's call it an elephant, which is technically an animal, but I guess it still counts as an object. If I have an elephant, what are some of the physical properties of that elephant? The things I can touch and see and feel and smell and taste. I don't recommend licking an elephant, but teach their own. An elephant is grayish in color, right? So that's a physical property. Its fur, it's not fur, it's got a little bit of fur, but I meant to say skin, is mostly furless and wrinkly, and I've actually never touched an elephant, but I am assuming it's kind of rough, feels rough. What are some of the other physical traits or characteristics of an elephant? They are large. They are elephant-shaped, because I don't know what other shape you would call an elephant. Roundish, I guess. So these are all physical properties of an elephant. Okay. And actually, let's not use elephant as an example because I want to talk about chopping it up, and chopping up an elephant's not very nice. So let's talk about something else. Let's talk about wood. Okay, a tree. A tree is made out of wood, right? So that is a physical property. Well, if I take a tree and I chop it up into little pieces and I make firewood, have I changed? I've changed something. What have I changed? Yeah, well, I've changed the size mostly, right? The size and shape and number of pieces. Those are physical properties, but I have not changed what the substance is. It's still wood. So the way that I can tell whether or not a change is a physical change is if I don't change what the substance is. Okay? If it stays the thing it is, wood, then I have done the change, whatever changes I've made. I've broken it, I've chopped it, I've painted it, whatever I've done to it, but it's still wood, then I have made physical changes to it. So if I take an elephant and I chop it up into lots of pieces, I am a big, mean meanie, but I still have little tiny pieces of elephant meat that I can sell in a restaurant for other mean people to come and eat. But that is still, at that point, anyway, it is still elephant. So I have done physical changes to it. Now, let's talk for a minute about chemical properties. Chemical, when I say the word chemical, we often think of chemicals as like solutions, like liquids, things we use to clean in a house or something. Those are chemicals. But the word chemical refers to the molecules and atoms. So in science, when I'm talking about chemicals, I'm talking about the molecular and atomic structure of a substance. If I make chemical changes to a substance, I am changing the molecules and I am changing the atoms. I'm making new substances. Okay. For example, if you are like any child that I have ever known, you have probably mixed baking soda and what do you mix with baking soda? You know the answer. What am I going to say? Vinegar, right? You probably mix baking soda and vinegar because that's a really fun and easy experiment to do. You have lots of easy access and they react to each other really well. Well, when I have the vinegar in a glass and I shake the vinegar around and stir it and stuff, I'm changing the shape of the vinegar, but it's still vinegar. I'm not changed, so that's a physical change. And if I take baking soda and it's sitting in a little container and I take a spoon and scoop it out, well, again, I have changed the shape of the baking soda and scooping it out. I've broken it into a piece, but it's still baking soda because I haven't changed what it is. So that's a physical change. However, when I mix the two together and they react, what happens is a chemical reaction that tears the vinegar and the baking soda apart and creates, as a side effect, it creates carbon dioxide gas. And that carbon dioxide is what makes all the bubbles that make your volcano erupt, okay, or fill a balloon with carbon dioxide gas or whatever experiment you happen to be doing. But that carbon dioxide, that's a new substance. It wasn't there before. You've made it. So we have actually ripped the molecules apart, or the atoms, and we have rearranged them. We have created new molecules and atoms. Well, the same atoms, but they've been rearranged into new molecules. And that is a chemical change. So remember, chemicals in science refers to the molecular structure of a substance. A chemical change is a change that changes the substance from one thing to another thing by rearranging the atoms and making new molecules. Okay, so let's go back to our firewood example. I cut the tree up ninja style with my ninja swords, and that's probably a terrible way to chop wood with swords, but you know, I don't question how you chop wood, don't question how I chop wood. I cut the tree up into logs, and then I still have wood, so those were physical changes. But then I put the firewood into the fire pit and I light it on fire. Well, fire is a chemical change because fire changes the molecules. And creates a lot of heat in the process. It's an ongoing reaction. And when I get done, I don't have wood anymore. Wood is gone. gets consumed, and I get ash, and I get smoke, and I get carbon monoxide. I get a lot of carbon dioxide. In other words, it releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and the wood is gone. So I have done a chemical change where I've actually altered the substance. I don't have wood anymore. So again, as you look and try to identify the difference, rate, which is a great word, the difference, identify between physical and chemical changes. Just remember, if I change the physical attributes, factors, traits of an object, I change the shape, the size, whatever, but it's still the same substance, I have done a physical change. If I change the chemical nature of the substance, in other words, the molecular structure of the substance, I no longer have the same substance. I have a new substance, and I have made a chemical change. Hi guys, thanks for watching my video. These rambling science videos where I go unscripted and just kind of barf up all the science knowledge out of my head are part of a series that go along with an online class that I teach, which you can sign up for if you go to handsomescienceteacher.com. I also have a whole bunch of free resources for homeschoolers. I have hundreds of articles on every topic that covers your entire science curriculum from 5th through 8th grade. I have online games and quizzes, all curated and written by this handsome guy, a science teacher with, well, three degrees, but 2 of them are in science. So it's targeted right to and directly to your science students. So sign up, subscribe to the channel, and I release lots of videos. Also, in addition to these ones, lots of little short videos that are like 2 minutes long that cover science topics. Those ones you don't get to see my handsome face, but they're still good videos, and they're much more targeted, and those ones are scripted, so you don't have to hear me like you are right now going blah blah blah. The end. Subscribe. Thank you. Goodbye.